Hello, friend. Welcome back to the potting shed. It's a beautifully quiet afternoon here. The rain just stopped, leaving behind that rich, earthy smell of damp soil and cedar, and the afternoon sun is finally peeking through the dusty window panes. Go ahead and pour yourself a warm cup of tea and pull up a chair. Today we have a very special, very gentle project. It's about taking something fleeting, something almost forgotten, and giving it a permanent home in our gardens. I was at the grocery store this morning, and I saw a sad little bouquet sitting in a bucket near the checkout. You know the kind, wrapped in tight, crinkly cellophane, the stems looking a little flaccid and rubbery. The leaf edges were papery and brown, and the petals had lost their vibrant colour, looking almost bruised. It felt like such a shame to see these beautiful plants at the end of their short journey. So, I brought them home to perform a gentle botanical rescue. By the end of our time together today, you'll know exactly how to transition these tired, cut stems into a living, permanent, lush cottage-style garden container. We're going to bridge the gap between budget floristry and high-end horticulture, using the beautiful science of adventitious propagation. We'll turn this sad bouquet into a deeply rooted, thriving ecosystem that will grace your patio with colour and fragrance for many seasons to come. We're going to focus on what I like to call the Supermarket Trinity: florist roses, standard carnations, and florist mums. These varieties are traditionally bred to have very long, rigid stems to survive cold storage and shipping. But here is the wonderful secret. When we establish these commercial varieties in a garden container, they begin to branch out from the base. They lose that rigid commercial form and adopt a bushy, wonderfully authentic cottage garden habit. To truly care for our plants, it helps to know their scientific roots. We are working with Rosa hybrida, Dianthus caryophyllus, and Chrysanthemum morifolium. By knowing their true names, we understand what they crave. Once rooted, they are surprisingly hardy. Our carnations and mums can easily survive chilly winters, while the hybrid roses are resilient across many climates. They are simply eager to leave the vase, stretch out, and return to the living earth. To make this transformation, we have to help the stems transition from cellular decline back to vegetative growth. Cut stems don't naturally have embryonic roots. Instead, when we make a fresh cut, the plant forms a protective callus over the wound. Then, guided by natural plant hormones, those cells do something miraculous. They differentiate and transform into brand new roots. These are called adventitious roots, and they will form a dense web to support our new plant. Let's start with phase 1. Select a few stems from your bouquet that still feel firm and green without any brown spots. Now, I know this next step feels a bit heartbreaking, but trust the process. We need to remove the flower head entirely. A bloom requires a massive amount of the plant's energy. By gently snipping it off, we redirect all those precious carbohydrates away from the dying flower and send them straight down to the base to generate our new root system. Take a pair of clean bypass pruners. I like to wipe mine with a little isopropyl alcohol first to keep things sterile. We want to cut our stems down to about 6 to 8 inches long. Find a leaf node, which is the little bump where a leaf joins the stem. Make your cut exactly a 1/4 inch below that node, at a crisp 45-degree angle. That specific spot holds the highest concentration of the plant's natural rooting hormones, giving us the best chance. Now we move to phase 2. We want to give our little stems every possible advantage, So we'll dip the bottom inch of each cut into a synthetic rooting hormone powder. You're looking for one with a small amount of indole 3-butyric acid, or IBA. This acts like a gentle chemical whisper, telling the stem it's time to grow roots. Tap off the excess powder so it's just a light dusting. Now they are beautifully prepped. Here is where many well-meaning gardeners run into trouble. Please don't put these fresh cuttings into standard potting soil. Potting soil is wonderful, but it's full of compost and bacteria that will rot an open stem wound. Instead, we're going to use a sterile, deeply breathable mix of 50% perlite and 50% coarse horticultural vermiculite. This airy blend holds just enough moisture while keeping the soil open so oxygen can reach that healing callus. Gently insert the stems about 2 to 3 inches deep into the perlite mix. Since they don't have roots yet, they can't drink water from the soil to replace what they lose through their leaves. To help them out, we'll place a simple humidity dome over the tray. This creates a cozy, humid microclimate, around 90% relative humidity. It keeps the leaves plump and happy while all the hard work happens out of sight. Now, we just practice gentle patience. Fast forward about 35 days. If you gently tug on a stem and feel resistance, congratulations, you have adventitious roots. Once they are about 2 inches long, it's time to move them into their forever container. Because these roots grow outward rather than deep, choose a wide, shallow pot, at least 12 inches deep for good drainage. Plant your stems about 4 to 6 inches apart. That's a bit tighter than usual, but it forces them to intertwine into a dense canopy. Now that your container is planted, how do you keep it thriving? The secret is in the moisture balance. Botanists look for volumetric water content, ideally keeping it between 25 and 35%. In simpler terms, the soil should feel like a well-wrung-out sponge. If it drops too low, the plant closes its pores and wilts. If it's too wet, the water pushes all the vital oxygen out of the soil, inviting root rot. Always check with your finger before watering. Let's take a moment to envision the magnificent after of our project. Gone is the flaccid cellophane bouquet. Instead, the foliage in your container is incredibly turgid and full of life. The rose leaves boast a deep, waxy gloss with beautiful light green veins stretching across the surface. Your carnation stems have developed a powdery, silvery blue coating that catches the morning dew, holding it in perfect, sparkling little diamond beads before the sun warms the patio. When you brush your hand against the display, the stems have a firm, woody resistance, snapping back with crisp vitality. The blooms are heavily layered, showing off deep, velvety colours, rich crimson fading into vibrant magenta at the ruffled edges. The dark soil releases a sharp, intoxicating scent of petrichor after watering, mingling beautifully with the spicy, warm clove scent of the carnations and the deep, rich perfume of the roses blooming under the open sky. Before long, your container will be teeming with gentle life. Native bumblebees will find the open mums, grappling with the bright centres, their wings vibrating at a low, soothing hum that shakes little puffs of pollen dust onto the green leaves below. Tiny, harmless hoverflies will dart around in sharp geometric angles, their metallic bodies flashing like jewels against the pastel petals. You haven't just grown flowers, you've nurtured an entire, bustling ecosystem. Of course, every garden journey has its bumps along the road, and I want you to feel fully prepared. Let's talk about a few common hiccups. It's tempting to constantly mist your new cuttings, but too much water resting on the leaves can invite a fuzzy, greyish mould called botrytis. We want humidity in the air, not puddles on the leaves. And if you notice ultra-fine, dusty webbing near where the leaves meet the stem, you might have brought home a few spider mites. Don't worry. Have you ever noticed your leaves turning bright yellow, but the veins stubbornly stay green? That's called interveinal chlorosis. Often it happens if you use softened tap water, which contains sodium that prevents the plant from absorbing iron. Switching to collected rainwater works wonders. Also, be careful with sunlight. While mature plants love 6 hours of bright sun, unrooted cuttings will scorch and become papery if placed in direct light too early. Take it slow. Before we finish up, I want to gently clear up a couple of viral garden myths you might have seen online. The first is the idea of sticking a rose stem into a potato to help it root. Oh, please skip this one. Potatoes are dense and filled with moisture and starches. Sticking an open stem wound into a potato suffocates the plant tissue, blocking vital oxygen, and it creates an all-you-can-eat buffet for fungal rot. It practically guarantees the stem will rot. Another rumour is adding a pinch of sugar and bleach to your soil to help bouquet flowers grow. While a tiny drop of bleach and sugar in a glass vase can inhibit bacteria and feed cut flowers temporarily, putting them in potting soil is disastrous. Bleach sterilizes the soil, killing the beneficial fungi your new roots desperately need. And sugar reverses the soil's osmotic pressure, literally pulling moisture right out of the fragile new roots. Stick to clean water and good compost. As your beautiful cottage container grows, you'll eventually want to think about winter. Remember that soil in a container freezes much faster than the ground. If you live in a climate where temperatures drop below 25 degrees Fahrenheit, your new roses, mums and carnations will need a bit of winter protection. Moving the container into an unheated garage or wrapping the pot in a thick layer of burlap will keep those delicate new fibrous roots safe while they go dormant. And just like that, step by gentle step, you've turned a fading grocery purchase into a living, permanent part of your garden. You've practiced the patience of rooting, the science of soil, and the art of cottage styling. I hope you found a little peace in the potting shed with me today. Tell me, what's blooming or resting in your garden right now? I'd love to read about it in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe for more cozy garden chats. Happy growing, friend!